Yeah. If you wanna move, then drop that low bass. If you wanna move, then drop that low bass. Low bass. Drop the low bass. Drop the low bass. Yeah. If you wanna be loud, lay it on the ground. I said loud, lay it on the ground. If you wanna drop it to the ground. If you wanna drop it to the ground. Get up. You gotta get low. Get up. You gotta get low. Get up. You gotta get low. Get up. Ooh. If you wanna be loud, lay it on the ground. I said loud, lay it on the ground.
Hey, guess what? Taco loves tacos, yeah, that's his scene. Crunching all day like a taco machine. Hard shell, soft shell, spicy, supreme. Always eating tacos, favorite cuisine. Taco! 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 Crunchy! Crunchy! With taco machine! Touch!
What's up, guys? I do love me some taco. Oh, hell yeah. To Rick Ross is in the house. How's everybody this fine evening? It's Sunday, a little bit early. I normally go live at 7, but I was feeling it. So I've been working on the Tahoe the last couple of days. It's been absolutely phenomenal weather, but that's all changing. Let me look at the forecast here. Yeah, it's going to be warming back up toward like a Wednesday, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it's going to get up in the 40s and 50s again. So that's a plus. Um, we're just dealing with it. We're dealing with it, all of it. What's up, Jay Shipes? How's everybody doing, man? I've been over here. Well, I've been working on the Tahoe, like I said. I got for those of y'all who keep track of my videos, I just uploaded it, or I just made it live a little bit ago. I got the piece built for the radio. I was going to install the radio and finish everything up yesterday, but I ran into a problem with that harness. The harness does fit and it does work. The problem is that one pin that depinned itself, I've got it permanently fixed in there where it won't move anymore, but the spring mechanism that holds the metal against the pin and the plug isn't holding the metal. So it's like, yeah, it sucks. So I had to, let me see here. Do. I always have trouble doing that. Let's just do it this way. Do it this way because this is the way I've learned to do it. We're going to do it to it like Pruitt used to do it, and Pruitt could still do it. I ordered this guy for my radio. Pretty basic little harness, but I'm pretty sure it has the right pin out. It's a 16 pin, and down here on the end, these two are separated further so it looks right. It says it fits the ILX 207, all these different radios. So I'm hoping it's correct. I mean, it was like $9, so yeah, it's not a terribly expensive thing, but it is coming on the 7th, or at least by the 7th. Hopefully it comes earlier than that. God, freaking car audio, man. I've also got another company, and I really don't have a way to show you this because I don't have the link anymore. But it's a company called AINAVI. Let me see if I can find it real quick, and I'll look it up. AINAVI. They have a few things. It's a Chinese company, like all of them. The one that I'm gonna try to get them to send me, though, I'm over here looking on Amazon right now because that's where the link sends you to. I don't have it, but they have this little single DIN guy, and it's got like ears that stick out on the ends a little bit, and it's got knobs, right? It's got a volume knob. I like that. It's a unique looking little radio, and they want me to do. They give me two possible radios to review, and that's the one I'm interested in. So I'm gonna try looking them up on the website and see if I can find them on the Google. But I might put that in there. Let's see here. Car stereo, Android. I'm just scanning through here to see if I can spot this thing. But yeah, I might start working with them. Let me show you their website here. This is just some of the stuff on this website. They have these radios that are built specifically for a vehicle, for your vehicle, and other stuff as well. I mean, that's just one. They also have Linux head units as well. So this one runs off of Linux right here. Very interesting. You got Android head units and Linux head units. This isn't the all of them. This is just all that's on this website. It's kind of a Barron's website, but nonetheless, cool. So I'm trying to get back. I'm getting back in touch with them. I'm going to get them to send me one of these radios, and I may end up putting it in there. I don't know yet. It's it's like whatever sticks to the wall, kind of the spaghetti theory. You just throw spaghetti at the wall and you see what sticks. Kind of do another quick check to see if I can spot this. I should have looked this up ahead of time. But I can run any single DIN. I can also run a double DIN that has a single DIN chassis with my little configuration that I have going on. So some of your double DIN radios, like what about this, taking a random stab, that one doesn't give me crap. Oh, anyway, let's see here. Let me get the chat thing pulled up. Wendy and Cole, Rick Ross said, yeah, it's same thing, man. It's 28 degrees and the wind's blowing. It feels like it's like negative 9,000 outside. Just bust your freaking head open, Cole. And earlier today, it was bright, sunny, and absolutely beautiful until about noon. And then all of a sudden the temperature went boom. We left the house to go about 12:30 or so to go to the buffet and get a buffet. My sister gave us a gift card for Golden Corral, and we went to use that gift card at the buffet today. And we left the house. It's about 12:30 or so. We went to there's two Golden Corrals in town. One of them has been closed down and does no longer even exist. It's completely flattened now. So we drove to that one, then we drove to the other one that is still functional. By the time we got there, it was already nippy, good nippy outside. And I was like, I didn't wear my freaking jacket. Then we went in there and ate. And by the time we got done eating, the wind was blowing like a cyclone. The temperature had dropped another 15 or 20 degrees, and it was downright cold. And now it's 28 and extremely windy, which means we melt your brain cold. So yeah. Mr. Spike, what's up, man? Dropping in to say hello. I always can use more people dropping in to say hello. So I got that one video up, and I got another one that's coming. What's up, Joseph? You know me all too well, my friend. But yeah, we're struggling with it, but we keep moving, keep plowing ahead. Pulled the trigger on the SIA 5K. Good choice for two U12s. Sundown, I'm guessing. Consistently running SIA 3500. I'm not familiar with the SIA, unfortunately. And I'm not familiar with the deep specs on those U12s, the Sundowns. I do know that I like the U series subwoofers. I think that is probably one of the most practical, sellable, usable, overall, generally best value in the Sundown subwoofer market. They are strong subs and at a reasonable price for Sundown. I like the U. Louis says, I sent a video to shed more light on the battery pack. Oh, yeah, I watched it. I got deep on the Jag thing. And yeah, so basically what's happening is on the Jag battery, guys, if you remember, I don't have it pulled up right now, but the Jag battery, the one that had the big clamp that holds everything, that whole module comes that way out of the car. So what they do is, instead of turning the cells around and reconfiguring them into a normal bank like you see a lot of people run, this setup configures different bars to leave the cells in place, essentially, and not move them at all. And you just put these bars in that connect to the cells the correct way to put them in the correct orientation. And the compression rack coming from the factory has 21 cells in it, but they only actually use 20 of those cells. They leave that last cell down there just to complete the amount of batteries that go in that rack. So it's basically a spacer. You don't use the last cell. And it's a damn good deal. It really is. It's a damn good deal. The Jag 35, $300, 120-ish amp hour battery. It's a good deal. I can't fault it. It is a C-Max battery. It does use C-Max cells, and C-Max comes with its own scary territory. You have to be a little more attentive to what the hell you're doing. You need to keep them balanced. You need to keep an eye on them, keep them charged, all that stuff. But I know a lot of guys that are running ridiculous amounts of them and doing it safely. So they're not idiot proof. They do require that you do things, you maintain, you pay attention. You can't just throw them in the trunk and never look at them again. It's not that battery. But as long as you're paying attention and you're doing things the right way, you can safely run them. I wouldn't want to run them in the wintertime, but they come out of a car, so they're designed for that. But however, the car will have a heater on them to heat them up in the wintertime so that they never get super cold. And definitely not going to have that going on in car audio. Unfortunately, you don't have all that control. You don't have the battery management system to keep them checked, and keep a temperature watch and turn on a heater whenever they're getting cold. You don't have all that stuff in car audio. So you have to be the one to maintain all that stuff. That said, if you're willing to maintain that and keep an eye on things or run them during the summertime only, um, excellent source of massive power, a lot of power. You just got to be attentive with them. Thank you, sir. I did check that out. And I was on the site. The video is right there. I could have watched that video. It's a different video, but yeah, interesting stuff. If you want to see how they're broke down in the normal way people break them down, you can watch. There's a lot of videos of guys building C-Max banks. And that's exactly what they're doing. They take them out of that compression rack and they're stacking them, in like 6 or 8 cells. I forget what it is, 6 cells maybe. They're stacking them in stacks, and then they're running all those in series parallel, so you have a positive and negative on each end, and they're done. But you also have to build them into a compression rack, so you have to compress them. And that's where the tricky bit comes in. You've got to compress them a certain amount, but you can't compress them too much. So there's a little bit of wiggle room in there where you have to get everything just right, or else bad things happen. So let's see here. That's why I do like that rack system, because it literally leaves them in the compression from the factory. So they're getting the right amount of compression in that build. That's kind of a plus. You still got to maintain temperature and all that stuff, but at least you're going to have the compression kind of no-brainer, because it's using the factory compression. They're literally staying in that same exact rack and not having to come out at all. That's cool. I don't know how much the technical side, I don't know much. My words are not working. Wisconsin, outlaw for life. I don't know much about the technical side of car audio, but how do speakers in the $300 price range compare to speakers in the $700 price range? So like audio control versus Focal. Well, first of all, the price range doesn't dictate how the speaker is going to function. It doesn't dictate how well it's going to work. It doesn't dictate what it's going to sound like. Shopping by price is a bad habit in car audio, especially these days. There are speakers out there that are $20 a pair that'll sound as good as some that are $500 or $600 a pair. So what you have to look for is the qualities in that driver that you're looking for. If you're wanting a lot of mid bass, you have to look for drivers that can do that. If you're going to have speakers that are getting wet on a constant basis, you have to look for drivers that can do that. If you're wanting lots of volume and you want it to be loud as shit all the time, certain drivers do that better. There's different things you have to look for each individual driver, and price does not dictate how that's going to work. As far as comparing those two examples that you gave, audio control, the drivers that they're releasing tend to be more well-rounded than the Focal driver. Focal's drivers are good, but you have to understand they like a certain frequency range. Focal drivers tend to be a little bit more mid-heavy, a little bit more vocal-oriented. So the vocals are going to be more pronounced than the highs and the lows. It's going to really be happy playing vocals. And then, whereas most other drivers out there tend to be more well-rounded, Focal has their own sound. And if you're looking for that specific sound, then they're going to give it to you naturally better than some other drivers will. Audio Frog, Focal, Morel are all examples of drivers that kind of push that vocal range forward. So if I was picking between the two, if you're just going to give me a brand and not the specific driver, I would probably lean more towards audio controls drivers. I think the price is going to be better and you're going to get a more well-rounded sound, which is probably more what you're looking for. So that's just my personal, that's the best advice I can give you generally without getting into the weeds about what exactly you're wanting to do and how exactly you're wanting to do it. I would, I would look at JBL Stadium Series speakers. I love JBL speakers. I would look at JL Audios, all of their line, because they tend to be a pretty well-rounded sound. Um, and I have no problem recommending the audio control drivers. From what I've heard so far, which is not a tremendous amount, they have a pretty rounded sound and their price is pretty reasonable. Those are the ones I would generally point you toward if you're wanting a good, well-rounded sounding set of speakers. But my favorites are always going to be the JBL Stadiums. I love the way those things sound. Um, let's see here. What's up, Mello? Mello says, cheers. Brain dead. Back at it again. I'm happy you're allowing us space to talk about it all in the open. Thank you very much. I do the best I can. You know, I mean, I can only do so much. And I do have life that happens in the background, so I have to tend to that. But the majority of my life is spent catering towards the stuff that I do with you guys. So, car audio, bass head stuff, and then I love educating people as much as I possibly can. I mean, I'm only able to give the information that I have in my head. There's not a tremendous amount of that. Um, and I got people messaging me, so I have to keep an eye on that because a lot of times you guys that have my personal creds on Facebook. Well, a lot of guys will send me video clips and stuff like that or pictures, and you can do it that way. I can put those up. We can talk about it. So if you're interested in doing that, I do respond to those. Just remember that I do have a personal life, and I am not in a position to handle a flood of stuff. I may or may not respond to your message. But if I do, we develop a little bit of a thing. You know, I'll let you jump in here and throw stuff at me. But if you send me stuff, this is my personal Facebook. So send me a friend request and then we'll look into it and go from there. But I'll just throw that out there. Spare. Trying to catch on. What did I say? What did I say where I was talking about a spare? I don't remember. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I said where I was referring to a spare. Shadow page. Not idiot proof. I'd stay away from those. Yeah, that's the thing. I typically recommend stuff that I can throw at anybody and feel pretty safe recommending it. And that's not these batteries. They are not idiot proof. You can blow shit up. That said, if you know who you are and you know how you function, then you'll know whether or not you can run something like this. I would not run this in a daily driver. I would run these CMAX batteries possibly in a event only, weekend beater, something where I'm running it during the summertime primarily, and I have time to make sure the temperatures are good, make sure the voltage is good before you start it, so you keep everything safe, monitor stuff carefully. You know, that's the kind of person that you are. If that's the kind of vehicle that you have, then you can use these kind of batteries. Other than that, I wouldn't recommend it. The Jag 35 C-Max, basically. Not Jag. Jag makes a lot of stuff. They have a lot of different stuff. So I'm not putting their name to that. But the C-Max style banks is what I'm saying. Happy holidays to you too. Digging low. Hey, no problem, man. I hope I answer your questions as good as I can. Again, I can only work with what I got in my head or based on the question that you give me in the comments. And if you're joining us at a point to where this video is no longer live, it's now a video, feel free to leave the comments down below with your questions, and I will read them and I will try to answer them. Okay. Be sure to include information like how much power the amp pulls, how much, what type of vehicle, what size speakers, give me the information so I know what I'm working with. To get the best answer, I have to have the most information. Jason, what's up, Jason? JL Audio, okay. Yeah, I'm running JL Audio in the cabin Q50s. I was going for a hybrid build. Hybrid, you mean is something like SQL? I know what you're talking about. JLs are not a terrible SQL speaker. You can make them work. They're not really geared for good cooling, so they're not going to handle tons of power for any length of time without having problems. They're not ideal for SQL, but you can make it work. I mean, it depends on how far into the loud you're going versus the SQ, kind of where that needle's swinging. For SQ, you typically want to use different drivers for all your frequencies. Unfortunately, because to get the maximum SQ, because you have the maximum amount of control over what plays what frequency. Then you have all the different groups of drivers you have to try to orient in such a way that your ear perceives them as coming from the same location. That's where time alignment and all that stuff comes in. For SQL, on the lower side, you can concentrate more of that into one or two drivers and still get a really good sound stage. But whenever you go to cranking the volume up, using a single, say 6.5 inch driver to handle everything from 80 hertz to 6,000 hertz is going to start breaking up. You can't get that much diversity into a cone at high volume and expect it to stay coherent and clean. So you end up shifting back towards multiple drivers to handle that. It's a bit of a tricky balancing act. You want all the cones operating in the frequency range they're best at for sound quality, and then you want all the cones operating in the frequency range they're best at for maximum volume also. Somewhere between those two, you can kind of break it back down again. It just depends on how far you're leaning in one direction or the other. And you do it for different reasons. For an SPL, you do it for volume, efficiency, heat dispersion, and power handling. And SQ, you do it for bandwidth and frequency range and having the right frequencies played from the right drivers so you get everything represented nice and smoothly. But you still do the same thing. You just do it for two different reasons, and you do it with two different types of speakers. And again, we can dig deep into that subject. I like that name. Booming. Better keep a spare fuse. I always have spare fuses. Yeah, that's it. Jag 35. Joseph said, I can't wait. Tomorrow, can't get here fast enough. The 3 new amps will be here. My shop almost clean. Oh, shit. Come clean mine. And about ready for the rebuild in the Kia. Man, building is fun, dude. I mean, like, guys, I'm going to tell you, car audio itself is amazing. And bass is amazing. And seeing the smiles on people's faces whenever you light them up with some 24 hertz wind, That's amazing. But let's be honest, we're all in it because of the build. It's the starting from here and getting to here. That's the fun part. That's the real fun part, is doing the thing, making it happen. It's like cooking a cake, baking a cake. It isn't having the cake at the end that's fun. It's the baking of the process of making it happen, having it turn out the way you want it to. Same basic concept. The building is where all the real fun happens. I'm 100%. And thank you for being a supporter, my friend. Thank you very much. You said love the videos, bro. Shit, man. I love you guys. I love you guys showing up and showing support. That's awesome, man. I love asking the questions. Sundown in the trunk. Ain't nothing wrong with sundown, bro. I'm gonna tell you, if money was not an option, I'd probably run a whole sundown build. I would have no problem doing that. But damn, they're expensive. So, you're going to get some of the very best equipment out there, but you're going to pay exorbitant amount of prices for it, and that's the problem with sundown. Not the brand, not the equipment, it's the price. Um, it's just a fact, man. I can't drop $2,000 on a sub, 1,500 on a sub, and I'm having such incredibly good luck with slaps, and the Oblivions and the Smackdowns will stand up with any of the Sundown's mid-tier stuff at a much lower price, and they'll stand up right with them and play just as good. I've been really, really impressed with Slaps audio. Really impressed. Uh, the Slaps amps, the 8Ks, are very, very similar to Sundown Full Bridge 8Ks. I think they're actually a little bit better, to be honest. The topography is a little bit better. The components are a little bit better. They're a little bit better designed. They'll handle voltage swings better. They'll handle heat better. So, one of the biggest things I like about the 8K is how efficient it is whenever it gets down into like 3 or 4 ohms. So when your ohm load starts rising, your Bach rise happens. They tend to produce more power than they should with that higher ohm rating. So what that boils down to is whenever you have that box rise hit and you're pulling 3.2 ohms or whatever at your highest impedance rise, they tend to make significantly more power than they should in that range. So you still get really good power even during the impedance rise. And that's one of the things I'm impressed with those amps about. There's lots of little things, but I'm impressed with them. They're good amps, man. I pretend mine is SQL. Mine stays relatively clean when I turn it up. People have commented on how clear the vocals are when it cranks. Yeah, and that's a thing. It's hard to get to, man. And yeah, I know you pretend it's SQL. I feel you. Uh, it's never going to be truly anything near SQ, but it can sound good. You can be clean, clear, and loud at the same time without, being SQ. Fin that finger out, man, when you drink. See, if you run SQ, when you pick your cup up, you always got to stick your finger out like this. And you have to use a fluent accent whenever you're referring to your car audio environment. And I'm not that guy. Also, you need a mustache that comes out and goes like this and spins in a little circles. That helps. It helps make your car sound better. Dubbies, I love tar lamps. Star, man. Those things, tar amps, they are what they are, bro. I just, not a bad amplifier, man. There's a whole lot of worse stuff you could run, like Scar amps, for example. Tar amp is way better than Scar amplifiers, for sure. I do think you can get some pretty good deals with Scar subs and Scar mids and highs. I've been impressed with that stuff, but I don't have any love for the Scar amplifiers. They just don't build a good quality amplifier. Uh, they're very power hungry and they waste a lot of power as heat. So they're not the best amplifier. What's up, G Body? I'll give you a wave, man. Get a wave back. Let's see here. Okay, Joseph. I do have a question on the flat wall. I'm pretty sure I know, but I will tune the port. Yes, pretty much. Yes. The only variable, I mean, it isn't an exact same thing, but if you're tuning as a ported box for a ported flat wall, it's going to be really close and you probably will be fine. But if you're wanting wind, you have to try to get that port down a little smaller, a little on the smaller side, but not so small that you're getting port noise. So when you get your design figured out, get one of your buddies that's got modeling software that can actually give you a port noise and port velocity. Shoot the model to them so they can kind of run it through their system and see if there's a problem. Hang on a minute, guys. I'm getting a message for Trunked Under Lithium. So I asked him about news. Let's see here. Oh man, he is so far behind. Okay, so here's the message from Brandon. First or second week of January at the latest, and even then, they won't be back in stock for another month because of new orders, because this whole batch is sold out. So everything he's got coming that has been bought, people are waiting for stuff. Probably going to get that squared away in the next couple of weeks, the first couple of weeks of January. But anything that's bought up after like right now or later, will be waiting for another batch to come in. He just can't keep up. He said, I don't want to have people pre-ordering all year round. My way I look at it is, if they're pre-ordering, you're always, you know what you've sold. You can, that just means all you have to do is just make stuff, which that would be the easy part. He's also dealing with tariffs. And so when someone pre-orders a battery at this price, okay, Brandon pays this price and he pays this in tariffs, and that number varies, but he's already sold them at this price. So he can literally get into a point where tariffs are so high that he's having to sell batteries. He's selling them at this price, and then he's actually paying more to do all the stuff, for the components, the tariffs, the shipping, and all that stuff. And then he's behind. He actually loses money. And the tariff is a value that changes constantly, and that's causing a lot of issues with a lot of companies. But yeah, there's your word. He's working it. Hang on a second. Let me ask him a question. I'm going to hit him up with a question, and I'll just ask him if there's anything you want me to tell everybody, and I'll put it out there. Okay. Let's see here. Oh yeah, we covered that, right? The ported thing. So your port velocity, and also pay attention to where your port's dumping out. It needs to have a clear area. You don't really want it to be like crammed in behind something. If you're wanting to do SPL and get a score, then you want your port as far away from where your meter is going to be. That's why people put it on the driver's side, because the meter always goes on the passenger side in most classes. Sometimes it goes in the center of the windshield in some classes. So the idea is to have your port as far away from the meter as you can get it if you're trying to get the maximum SPL score. Beyond that, It doesn't matter. Also, you might consider having a port that's turned sideways, if you can do it, where the port literally comes in and blows straight on your head. This will be good for whenever you're dropping it down into the lowest part of the port tuning, maybe below port tuning, and you're playing really, really low, and you're actually getting wind coming out of the port instead of sound. It's really good for hair tricks. Just some stuff to throw at you. Pure SKL is expensive as hell. Can be, but it's not necessarily. It's more about purposeful building. You could do, I've done it. You can do really good SQ on really inexpensive gear. It's a matter of installing it correctly, tuning it, setting everything up correctly, and getting it tuned exactly right. All that stuff. It's more about the install and about the application and the tuning that makes a difference. You could buy all extremely expensive gear and have a complete shit sound. Vice versa. You can pull the speakers out of 1980 boom boxes and build your system with that and do it correctly and have really good sound. It's just a matter of doing all the right things the right way. Generally, it is a more expensive hobby. The further you swing in either direction, the more expensive it gets. You swing hard into the SPL world, it gets really expensive. You swing hard into the SQ world, it gets really expensive. But you can do quite a bit of both without spending a ton of money. So, Slap's Audio has two different 5K amps. Yes, they have a full bridge and a half bridge, and the full bridge is what I'm running, the 8K version of that full bridge. The Shock series amps are full bridge. The other ones I can't think of, SDK, whatever they are half bridge. And the half bridge amps are going to be less efficient, but they're going to be half bridge. You can do other things with them. You can drop the ohm loads lower and stuff like that. A lot of people swear by half bridge. If you really want half bridge, then run a half bridge. Personally, I don't think it makes a world of difference at all. I think the best setup is the one that drives your speakers properly and reproduces sound accurately. And the 8K and the Shock 8K series, the Shock 5s, the Shock 3s, they all do that very well. They're very efficient. Full range amps will always be more efficient than half bridge, which means they can turn, given the same amount of power going to them from the batteries and the alternators, the full bridge amp is going to make more bass than the half bridge. That's what I'm saying. But yeah. I'm interested in buying the B2 DSP, but I have two concerns. One, my Kenwood head unit puts out a 5-volt signal. Yeah, but that's 5 volts at maximum volume. And it won't be anywhere, like when you get to, like, let's say your head unit has, say your head unit has 40 on the volume meter. It's not gonna hit that maximum amount of voltage until the last couple of numbers in that volume meter. It's going to jump real quick at the very end. It's going to produce probably 4 volts or less through like 3/4 of that knob. So all you have to do is you can adjust, if your knob is clean all the way up, is just adjust your output level. So you'd use like your mini DSP in your head unit and lower the volume, the gain level in there, so that when you're at maximum output on your volume knob, the signal coming out of your RCAs is like 4 volts. And you run that 4-volt full range signal to your DSP and go to work. Not hard. It's like game matching an amp, basically. Same concept. And there'll be a control. In the head unit, it may not be obvious. It may be you may have to go to a menu where it gives you the option for like radio level and like a freaking pen drive level and Bluetooth level and all that. But whatever stuff you're doing, you just adjust the levels, and then you check with the voltmeter. Turn your knob all the way up, play a sine wave like 1,000 hertz. Turn your knob all the way up and see what your voltage is coming out of your RCAs. Adjust that gain down so that your volume's all the way up, but that gains down a little bit, and then you can get the right voltage going into the DSP. Um, the B2 DSP only puts out a 4 volt as well. And it seems like a downgrade. Any thoughts? I don't know. I'm running one. You guys can't see it. Sorry, it's off camera. I was going to show it to you. Uh, I have no issues with it, no whatsoever. Uh, it kicks out power. It does the thing. So mine's been completely clean. This would absolutely be in my Tahoe if I didn't have an Audio Dynamics, like a $1,200 Audio Dynamics DSP in there. This thing would absolutely be in there. I can't pull that thing out and put this guy in, mainly because of the controls. The one that I have in there now has a volume control that I can control the whole system with, built into a remote part that goes to that DSP. That's a huge thing for me doing what I do. Since I haven't even been running a head unit, I've been using the DSP's volume control to control it. And that's the key feature that I needed for my setup. So I can't replace it without losing that feature. But yes, I would absolutely run this in my Tahoe. In fact, I'm considering using it for a stunt wall, but I haven't decided on how that's going to go yet. I got a lot of other stuff to do. Install is 90% of SQ, then DSP, then equipment. Install, yes. Digging low, yeah. And sound treatment, yes. I 100% agree with that. I realized, all right, so VR30, boost life. I realized I needed a truck like yours to reach goal. Went cruising Saturday, and yeah, 218s in a Tahoe is what I need. Can really feel that bass. 218s will get it done. I was pondering pondering 218s, but I already had. So I was tossing shit around. I think the limit on the at the time when I was making decisions, crucial decisions, I was down on money, and so I had to try to pick the right thing. At 415s will give you more cone area than 218s. That doesn't necessarily mean you get more bass though, because you're also going to be using more airspace, and you have to drive 4 subs. So 218s with really high excursion, with enough power to get them all the way fully excursioned in the proper box with the right tuning, is going to get stupid ass loud. And I know a guy that's running 218s in a ported flat wall and is getting into the 62 plus range on the windshield. Legal. I mean, he's pushing like 30,000 watts, but yeah. So it's very doable. 415s suited my specific build, but I looked hard at 218s before I did it. And I was actually looking at 221-inch drivers. The death penalty, is it death penalty drivers? I think so. Anyway, so yes. El Fuego, hello from Motel Jesse James. What's up, my friend? From the Pacific Northwest. Let's see here. El Fuego's in the house. Joseph, so I'm not looking for numbers. It's about wind. Give them windy demos. Well, I gave you the tips on that already. You know, these are the things to factor in, consider when you're building. I literally told you all the secrets just a minute ago, so you heard them all. But port placement and port area are the two factors besides port tuning. Those are the two other factors to consider if you're wanting a windy, low range, terrifying demos. Absolutely, my friend. Oh yeah, Rawcat does a good job of reviewing budget SQ. Absolutely. Uh, Yeah, and that's me too, bro. You know, I can if I turn the subs down a little bit, I can jam out on some, Phil Collins or some, whatever. I can get down, man. Some Lionel Richie. Hell yeah. I'm all about some Lionel Richie, guys. I love my Lionel Richie. Uh, that's all that matters. What's up, Bobby B? Bobby B is in the house, y'all. Let's see here. I'm glad you're feeling better, El Fuego. Realize I can make that adjustment. Yeah. The radio. Usually you can. You have to dig around in your radio a little bit, but you'll find somewhere in there that you can adjust your output. And like I said, usually it's like there's one screen in some radios where you can adjust the different media inputs to where they're all the same volume level. Like if your radio happens to be much louder than your Bluetooth, for example, you can go in there and adjust the gains on each and one of those. Well, you can use that setting to do this trick. Um, there's also another one where you have front, left, and right. Your radio may have like 6 outputs or 5 outputs where you have left and right front, left and right rear, and a sub. And all of those are going to have a level adjustment for each one of those. So you can adjust the level there and just use that 2 outputs to the and there's places in there where you can get that gain adjustment. And then you just measure it with a tone. Use do like a 40 hertz 40 hertz tone and a 1,000 hertz tone, and figure out which one of them is the hottest, and adjust it back so that you're not busting 4 volts at the maximum clean volume or the maximum volume, whatever one you're working with. It's easy to work around those problems. Um, Justin, what's up, man? Love my 2 SmackDown 18s. Built a porta wall for them and tuned to 30 hertz from F-150. 30. I can remember when 32 was considered perfect for me, but I keep going down. I keep going down. I went from like 32 down to like 30, and then I started tuning in the 20s. Right now I'm tuned at like 28, and I probably should be lower than that because I'm an idiot. And idiots have to make everything idiot proof. I like playing 25 hertz and 24 hertz because wind, man, the wind is all down there in the lows. So, okay, Brandon, I asked him if there's anything to tell everybody. This was his response. He said pretty much that we'll be out of stock until the new batch comes, probably beginning of February. So if you haven't ordered anything right now, you can possibly expect things to happen in February if you order within the next few days. That's what he's telling me. Okay. It's from the owner of the company. He's saying something else too. I'm waiting to see what he's going to say. Having a messaging festival over here. Oh yeah. Bobby said I scored a mini DSP UMI K1 mic for $50. As long as it's in good shape, that's a solid deal, man. All right. Back to Brandon again. He said we don't want people to deal with waiting anymore. We have to get caught up on stock so we can get back to a 48-hour shipping turnover rate, not 48 days. So you guys have been wondering about Trunk Thunder Lithium. I'm talking to Brandon right now, and he's working the system out. The thing is, he's receiving so many orders that he literally doesn't have the stock to keep up. So what we're doing is, if you pre-order with Trunk Thunder Lithium, understand that there is an indeterminate amount of waiting time before you get your shipment. But the plus side of that is you're going to be getting some of the very best car audio batteries you can buy, stuff that you don't have to worry about, stuff that you can throw in there and rock and roll. at a really good price and with an excellent service, an excellent warranty, an excellent attention to detail, and customer service. Those are things that I'm all about. You will have to wait right now, but he's trying his best to fix it so that doesn't happen anymore. That's the key. Be patient. If you want to jump on that train, be patient. Don't be in a big ass hurry. And I will also say, if you know you're going to be running them in the summertime, order them now. That way you're going to get them sometime this winter, and then you can put them in and everything will be ready to go in the summer. It's a good deal, Bobby. A good mic like that usually runs like 100 to 150 bucks, maybe 200. So you did good. POC 3R808. Do you know what states Slaps ships to? It says 48, but not exactly what states. I'm going to say that's probably not Alaska and not Hawaii. That's typically, when you hear 48 states, that's typically how that works. That's discounting Alaska and Hawaii. The reason being the shipping is significantly more expensive for those. And when you factor in shipping cost, it can be quite a lot, especially like subs. To ship a subwoofer, for Slaps anyway, to ship a subwoofer from the East Coast to California costs $100. That's a lot of money for one subwoofer. And that's all getting factored into the price. So it is what it is. But that's my guess. I can't 100% verify that, but I can tell you that that's 99% of the truth. Craig said, I just switched to a B2 DSP from a Dayton Audio 408. And I love it. Yeah, going from the Dayton to the B2 is a big step up, brother. You wouldn't think it would be. You would think, well, the Dayton's a great DSP. It is. But it's a night and day difference. I mean, I'm telling you from the position of somebody who's installed them and used them and tuned them and played with them, that B2 DSP is a rock solid little piece of kit. I nailed it on the price. It says brand new in the box, and it was $128. I know about what I'm talking about. I know what the price looks at. So are you like in Hawaii or Alaska? Is that what it is? If I had to guess, I would say that was the case. Oh yeah. Said it was $100 cheaper. Hell yeah. I'm gonna need a little break, but I want to show you guys something while I'm on my breaks. Give me just a second here. I'm gonna play a track for y'all. It's one I've been working on. This, I think, is pretty much finished, but it's a one-up. So if you guys, the key to this is it's not live anywhere, so y'all be the first ones to hear it. And we'll throw it out there. Y'all give me a minute to take care of some business, and I'll be right back.
Sky go dark, feel the pressure build. Air go still like the world got chill. Big storm cloud, feel the thunder come. Every heart beats just like a drum. Clouds split wide when the hammer rise, like crack open in the upper sky. Wind rip through when they start that swing. Hear the sky tear open and the metal scream. Crack the ground when the hammer fall. Feel that shake run through us all. Hammer strike, heads all nod. The sky bows down to the thunder god. Thunder god. Thunder god. Bow down to the thunder god. Yeah, hammer move fast, sonic boom slash. air stands still and the silence reigns. The hammer lays low on the earth it claimed. Crack the ground when the hammer fall. Feel that shake run through us all. Hammer strike, heads on nod. The sky bows down to the thunder god. Thunder god. Thunder god. I'll bow down to the thunder god. Thunder god.
What y'all think about that? Let's see here. Yeah, I'm from Hawaii. You might contact Alan and through Slaps. There's two different Slaps messenger thingamajiggers. Just contact them on Facebook through Messenger. Look up Slaps, SLAPZ, on Messenger on Facebook. Get a hold of him and let him know where you're at. He might work something out with you. Like you may end up boosting the price a little bit to accommodate for the shipping or something. I don't know. But it's worth poking at it. Alan's a good dude. And he might do something for you. I don't know what, though. The other option is to get somebody to relay the shipping for you. Somebody that's down there, closer. To ship to and have them reship it. I don't know. But these are just options. But you're still going to get a good deal even with all that. Joe Daddy, what's up, man? Yes, I was on a break. My wife gives me these water pills in the evening, and because I have to take them, because if not, my lungs fill up with fluid and I die. So, unfortunately, the timing of this one was such that I am in the middle of living out the experience of the water pill. So I have to take random breaks. And keep putting fluid in as I'm getting rid of fluid. It's just being old sucks. Joe Daddy is in the house. Thank you, sir. Shadowface says, sounds nice. We're both thinking about Thunder Gods, it seems. Yeah. I've got one more track I'm working on with that in that series. And I haven't quite got the lyrics where I want them yet. There's so much writing, dude. I mean, I'm just pouring out stuff. I don't even know how I do that, but I'll think of one word and then it'll just start building. I'll start building it and building it. And it's complex, but my brain just starts pouring it out. I can't type fast enough to keep up with my brain at that point. My typing skills are absolutely hideous. My wife says I have no typing skills. But yeah, give it a try, man. You might find that it works out pretty good. So we're at the end of the list of questions. That means I got to switch gears. Let me pull up Slaps real quick. Give me a second. I'll see if I can get you an answer on that. Find out if there's anything that can be done. Let me jump up here. JW. I'm asking. We'll see if he notices the thing and sends me back a response. Let's see here. Joe said I have no typing skills. Shadow. Yeah, I've been doing so many songs. Almost 4-1 finish. Hell yeah. Finished my Thunder God song last night. Oh, really? You had the same idea? Doing songs based on the D&D game worlds. That's a really cool theme. I grew up playing D&D, and then I also played a whole lot of D&D whenever I was locked up. For those of you guys who have never been behind the bars, I have been. It's a matter of, well, that's a whole deep subject. But essentially, your body is locked up, but your brain isn't. And you learn how to turn your brain free. So you learn how to do things outside of being incarcerated. Okay, so all right, so here's the thing on the slaps. So let me go back to him real quick. I've got an answer back already. So for POK3R808, this is from slaps, okay? Amps, not a problem. Shipping is not crazy. Shipping is not crazy more, but not crazy. The subs are not realistic. Shipping is $150 to $200 per sub. And any warranty issue, obviously, they have to cover the cost as well. So if you're buying amplifiers, he'll probably ship those. That's not a problem. But as far as subs go, you'll have to discuss the amount that you'll have to pay extra for subs to get them shipped there. But you're probably still going to come out ahead. So I would talk to him, see what he can work out with you. Anyway, I was saying was the D&D world is a great way to escape, because all it requires is some dice and a piece of paper and a pencil and your imagination for the basics, right? Because all of us guys had most of the monster manuals memorized between the group of us, and we would just figure up our own specs and stuff. It was really cool. I loved it. D&D was awesome. I'd still love to play. I would totally get down with some D&D right now. If you guys wanted to play, man, I would love to play full scale. I don't mean like on the the internet kind of the computer games and stuff. I mean sit down in a freaking room and just bust out the paper and pencil and the dice and start rolling characters and shit. I freaking absolutely love doing that. It's great. If you've never done it, guys, it's fun as hell. Let's see here. Doing so many. I have questions. My voltage is suddenly staying around 13.5. I'm not sure what your situation was prior to that. My voltage, whenever I'm going full hammer, my voltage sits around 13.1 when I'm going full tilt. If I'm running half power, it'll sit up around the 14s, but it always drops to about 13.1 whenever I'm getting into the batteries. That's where they start really jumping in there and doing their thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about the whole. I need to know the before, after the changes, and how much it was before, and all the different details to kind of get a mental picture of what's going on in your build. Joe said that's bad. I need less audio gear or more vehicles. What to do? Well, Facebook Marketplace. That's how that problem is sorted, man. You just got to get on Facebook and start looking for cheap ass vehicles. Then you can do some builds and vehicles and not necessarily put them on insurance. Find some older stuff, maybe doing antique type stuff. Some 90s stuff, where you can just throw antique tags on it. Really cheap insurance. Yeah. That or you can do what I do and just install shit in everybody else's vehicle. Okay. A little bit more information. So are you charging at 14.4 or 14.8 or something? And did you add another amplifier? Did you crank up the power? Did you drop your ohm load? Did you change your power needs? If you're charging at like 14.8, it does not matter at all. If as soon as you start pulling more power from your alternator than it can actively handle, so if it's a 300 amp alternator, as soon as you start pulling 400 amps, 500 amps, you're going to drop below the alternator's voltage. Immediately, you're going to be down to the resting voltage of the battery, actually just a little bit below that sometimes, or maybe a little bit above it sometimes. It just depends on the battery. That's where you should sit at. So if you all of a sudden drop that much, the question would be, did you change how much power you're pulling in some way, form, or fashion? Because that would be, or is your alternator jacking up? If your alternator's messing up, that can cause that too. Maybe your belt is slipping. Maybe you broke a belt. Don't even realize it. There's a whole lot of possibilities. What would cause the voltage to suddenly drop would be something like that. It's not really an electrical failure, not a setting or anything like that. It's more a broken voltage regulator, or your charging wire to your alternator came loose. Maybe you burned up your resistor in the wire, or maybe your sensing wire for your alternator came loose. There's lots of different things that can cause that. Most likely, though, you added more power. I haven't figured that one out just yet. More audio gear, Big Daddy, Joe Daddy said. I was having a lot of fun. And excited since you introduced me to Suno. But it's getting a lot of hate. Kind of stole my joy, so I took a break. Brother, it is what it is. Welcome to the world that I've been living in for a long time. I get lots of hate. I get lots of love. I mean, I'm a troll magnet, so, step right up, come on in. Welcome to the world of getting the hell trolled out of you. And there's always going to be people who talk shit about whatever you enjoy doing. And no matter what it is, you're going to have people that hate on it. If you like to skateboard, people will tell you all kinds of bad shit about skateboarding. If you like to ride motorcycles, they're going to dog you out on that. No matter what it is you're doing, you're going to have people that think it's the worst possible thing you could do. My philosophy is, if they don't like it, they know exactly how to get the fuck out of my life. That's it. It's that simple. And yes, I agree. But the caveat is that the correct voltage for that vehicle, or should it be sitting much higher? That's where you have to factor everything in. The load, the power supply, the wiring, the charging, all these things have to be factored in to figure out where it should be. And if it was sitting here and now it's sitting here and you didn't change anything, that can indicate some kind of problem. That's why I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And that is not correct. It depends on the system. Currently, I have Slaps 18. Let's see, who is this? Kenneth. All right. Let me get my eyeballs cleared out so I can read. Currently, I have Slaps 18 V1 in a Gately box with Jeep Wrangler slams. Currently looking into doing 3 of the V2s with a double 1-inch baffle of acrylic. Any thoughts? Yeah, get ready to. You got to get that. You got to get that wallet. Go ahead and put it on the stove and let it warm up real good. It's a lot easier to set it on fire. Acrylic's expensive shit, bro. So yeah, you might consider doing a box that's mostly wood with just an acrylic where you want it at. But acrylic is expensive, really, really pricey. And then finding somebody who will build with acrylic is a whole nother level of problems. And then paying them to do that work, because you got to machine it down. It has to be everything. It's very difficult and it requires a lot of work, very intensive crafting. So you have an expensive material, very expensive to work with, very detailed skill set that needs to be happening, machines that need to be happening. The price just keeps going up. But it'll be cool. It'll be very cool. So, but like I said, acrylic's expensive. May have a bad sell. It can. I mean, no problem. Shadow Phage, play in my game, but I got bi-weekly to score D&D. Oh yeah, not in person. Too far to travel. Yeah, take some of the fun out of it. Being around the person, being around the people when you're playing is kind of a, you know, I mean, I can remember so many good times, man. So many good times. It's a great game for a group of people. And the kitten just has to come out today.
Hey, guess what? Taco loves tacos, yeah, that's his scene. Crunching all day like a taco machine. Hard shell, soft shell, spicy, supreme. Always eating tacos, favorite cuisine. Taco, 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 taco. Crunchy, crunchy. With taco machine.
Oh, Emmett. Emmett's busted out the tacos. Oh, son. I pressed enter by mistake. It's normally 14.4, but now it's 13.5. Got you, boss. Yeah, I would say you got an issue, but more information is what I need. I'm sure you're already working on getting that to me there. What are you charging at? What cells are you running? And did you increase amplifier? Did you decrease ohm load? Did you what changed? All that kind of stuff. That's important. And you are correct. Sometimes it is EQ control, but if you have your alternator hooked up, that is a thing. So but that's only going to affect the charging rate, not the overall voltage. Again, if you're pulling more current than your alternator is creating, you're pulling it from batteries. So that's going to be pretty steady. The voltage on the alternator strictly is just so that it can charge a higher battery bank. It's like just because you can go a step higher on the ladder doesn't mean you can move the whole room up one step higher. It gives you the ability to see over the thing, right? The alternator's voltage going up is just so that it can actually charge batteries that can rest at higher voltage. Having 14.8 on your alternator does not mean your system is going to play at 14.8 at all. It's not. As soon as you crank it up, it's going to dip. What's going to stabilize it's when it comes down to where the batteries sit at, and then it's going to lock in. Okay. High voltage on the alternator does not make your system a high voltage system. The batteries dictate that. You raise the voltage to be able to charge higher resting voltage batteries. They need the voltage higher to charge them. Batteries that rest at like 14 volts or 14 and a half volts need a 14.8 charging to be able to put power into them. The alternator has to be at a higher voltage than the battery to put power in. It can't reach over if it's not. It's not going to do it from down here, right? So what dictates where your power level is, your voltage in your system, is the batteries, not the alternator. But yes, if you're running a factory ECM controlled alternator, it will go up and down. Usually in the winter, it's usually dictated by a few things. If the ECU sees the voltage dropping, it'll start charging higher. Also, if you're running the headlights, running certain equipment, they'll automatically default to the higher state of charge. There's a whole lot of crap that controls the ECM and how it charges. But that, I don't think, is your issue. Could be, but not likely. That's something that usually fluctuates during one single drive. It may be really high when you crank up the vehicle, and after you drive for 5 minutes, it drops down to 13.5. That stuff happens for real. Oh yeah. I live way out in the country, and players in current campaign or in other states. Yeah, I never done it online. I don't know. I could see maybe making that work, but it's just not the same. Um, what is your audio product of the year in each category? Amps. Oh, good God. I talk about them every day. Literally, El Fuego, you should be able to answer that question. But my audio product of the last year is definitely the Oblivion V2s for subs. They're just absolutely nasty. They take tons of abuse. They make all manner of bass. The price is perfect. It's a really, really solid piece of kit. And the slaps, 8K, Shock 8Ks for amplifier, for subs. My favorite amp for mids and highs is the little slaps. The little slaps 160.4s, the minis. It's $100 amplifier that right now in my setup, let me tell you, is running in my room here. That's what I'm using to power my sub over there. And whenever I was gone a few minutes ago, that song was playing, I had the volume up in here. It's shaking the doors, rattling all the doors in this duplex on that little Slaps Mini 160.4. It's a freaking phenomenal little guy. And DSP, yeah, it's the V2. This year, there's nothing else out there that comes close to it in the price range and sounds as good and has all the features. It's solid. As far as speakers go, I really like my Slaps 10s that are in my Tahoe. But since they're kind of an oddball size, my favorite, I'm being honest, my very favorite 6.5s for the price is still the Recoil 6.5s, those really cheap ones. I got 2 sets of them in here, and I've never blown them. And I put 2 sets in my buddy Troy's car. They sound phenomenal. They're just a great freaking driver. My favorite tweeters are the DS18 120.120B and 120. So there's a silver version and a black version. My favorite loud tweeters are those. My favorite tweeters, period, right now are the Rockford Fosgate T1s. The entry level ones are they used to be about $100 a pair. I'm not sure where they are now, but it's my favorite tweeters. The small, the soft dome, like standard issue tweeter. And so those are all my favorite stuff. My favorite thin woofer's always going to be the T3 and the T5 from JL Audio. Nothing beats it. It's a rock solid piece of kit. This is, my favorite coaxial is the Alpine Type R. Though it's a close race between the Alpine Type R and the JBL Stadium. Those are 2 solid drivers. So yeah, this is the stuff that I run. So, but thank you, El Fuego, for that question. Where's Dubby? I don't know where Dubby is. Is he? I thought he was here. Maybe he ain't. Unban my 360. Here's the robot. I have one already that varies between 14.1 and 13.4. Yeah, and that's perfectly normal. That's actually smaller. I've seen them vary a lot more than that if it's ECM controlled. I'll figure it out next weekend when I get off the road. I just started tonight on my way to get back on the road. Thanks for the output input. You got it, boss. On the road, he says. Joe Daddy said he's from Miami, Florida. Uh, oh, yeah. Yeah, I can get deep into that Dungeons and Dragons scene, man. I've got lots of stories, lots and lots of stories from my D&D days. We had some really good times. Um, really good times. Y'all have any more questions for Slaps uh, or for Trunk Thunder Lithium? And I'll try to get those questions in while I have them pulled up. Oh, cool. I sent back a letter about that single den unit, and he sent me back a thing. So maybe we're going to make that happen. The address you gave us is not working. Yeah, they hate sending stuff to my PO box, but I hate getting shit shipped to my door because I have to watch for it and worry about it getting stolen off the front door. They always complain about my stupid PO box. Joe Daddy asked a good question. I'll show it to you. Hang tight just a second here. Let me go over here and we'll switch screens. Maybe. Maybe. Oh, yeah, that was good. So you head over here to Slaps Audio, and we'll go down here to amplifiers. Go right over here to this little mini. This little dude right here, if I can get it to pull up. There we go. This little dude right here, man. It's $109. And I've got my two, and I run this in the house. So I got two smaller 12-volt batteries that I run in a charger. That's how I keep the power up. And I'm running it through a DSP, the B2 DSP. And you see how you have them, you can bridge them. So I have two channels bridged running to my subwoofer, and a 12, a single. So I had a 15 hooked up, but I ended up putting the 12 in that box. It plays a little lower in that box. So I got a 12 hooked up to it, a 500 watt 12. I'm getting around 300, a little over 300 watts to that 12, so it's getting down. And then the other two channels I use for my mids and highs, which I'm currently running a pair of Hayanka Marine coaxials for my mids and highs. This little dude does the job. So if you're wanting to know about it, you're looking at it, and I'm showing you where to find it. This is a crazy good little amplifier. This little amplifier would easily handle a small system in a car all by itself. It would just do it. I mean, it's got so much power. I'm very impressed with it. And it shakes, like I said, it shakes everything in this place. So if you guys are looking for something like that, you can absolutely get it. Of course, it'll run 4 channels like a boss. Run 2 channels with a whole lot of power too. You could bridge both sides and run it as a 2 channel and put 300, over 300 watts on each channel. I mean, I could see this thing totally running 2 15s and just pounding the hell out of my freaking house. It's a stout little amp. It does an amazing job. Let's see here. This guy here, I was reading that. I didn't put it up, but I was reading from your comment talking about the D&D thing. I got lots of stories, man. I got lots of stories. If we go set $100, run that baby slaps in 3-channel mode, you damn right you will. But you need to have like a 10 amp power supply, 10 amp 12 volt power supply, and then some kind of battery. You could use a car battery, but don't use one that vents. So you need to have like an AGM battery. It would be fine. And you hook that 10 volt or that 12 volt 10 amp power supply up to it. And you can run that sucker and run all the car audio gear. Well, you can't run all the car audio gear, but you can run small powered car audio gear off of it nicely. 10 amps will keep it charged. And I know this because that's what I'm doing. And this is exactly what I'm running. And this is how I listen to movies, how I listen to music. It's everything in my space. It comes through that car audio gear on the wall back there. Let's see if I show you guys. I know some of you guys may not have seen it. I'm going to turn my camera a little bit. This is my audio setup back here. So I'm running the DSP and the 4-channel mini. And down there at the bottom is my crazy distribution system that runs. And y'all can't see my battery set up, but it's down there. Let me see, fix this back here. Fix that stupid thing. Put that thing back where it was. But yeah, solid set of kit, man. So that, and they did send me that email. Let me see if it's linked here. Yeah. Okay. It wants to know how long it would take for me to shoot the video and upload. Yeah, I always want to know that. I gotta. Yeah, it won't let them use that address. He's already trying to put the address in. I love it, man. I love doing what I do, man. I get to do all the cool stuff. I'll have to get back to him and send him my home address, and hopefully it doesn't get stolen. I've only had one package, I think, come up missing, but man, I hate shipping to my door, because then I'm watching the tracking, trying to catch it when it's here, and then having to wait all day and keep checking the front door, and make sure that, because it's a pain in my butt. I'd rather have stuff shipped to the post office. But see, a lot of companies won't ship USPS because it costs more money. They have a deal set up with UPS or with FedEx, and FedEx won't deliver to a USPS location, nor will UPS. So Shadowphage wants to know. So you're just running a battery on a charger for an indoor system? Yeah. I'm actually still using this battery charger, and when it gets full, it doesn't maintain. I have to unhook it and plug it back in for it to start charging again. But I got my 10 amp. I've used the 10 amp before too, and it keeps up. The 2 amp won't quite keep up. But yeah, it's only going to charge your battery charger, if you use a power supply, which is what I'm going to be going back to. If you use a power supply, it's got its voltages here, the battery's voltages here. Okay. When it pulls the battery voltage up to where it's matching the power supply, it's no longer putting power into the battery. And then as soon as the battery's voltage starts dropping down, it starts putting power into the battery again. It's self-maintaining. As long as the voltage it's pulling it up to is something that's safe for the battery to sit at, you can just use a power supply to charge. That's the key. It's the voltage differential that's important. That's what happens with lithium and AGM and all that. The voltage differential is what you're worried about. You can charge a lithium battery with the same thing as you charge an AGM battery with, as long as the voltage differential is right. As long as the charger is not trying to pull that bank up to a point to where it can't sit friendly, and it'll cause damage if it's sitting too high. So you want to pay attention to what voltage you're outputting to the battery and whether or not that's safe for the battery to be charged at. That's the only thing you're worried about. Once the battery reaches that voltage, it will not be putting power in anymore until that voltage drops a little bit. It's self-regulating. So yes, and you don't want to use a regular car battery, a lead acid battery. You want to use minimum AGM battery. AGM batteries are completely sealed. There's no way they vent. They don't vent any gases. So you can run those inside your house. Yes, that's what I use. I could use lithium, but I got it all in my Tahoe. So, and I don't need that much reserve. I'm only running that little 160.4. So, you know, it works fine. See, I was thinking about getting a power supply one day and doing a setup, but gas battery with safe charger, both work. The power supply, just using a little 10 amp power supply, a little brick is all you need for a small setup. Bigger power supply for a bigger setup. Obviously, you got to have a bigger electrical for bigger stuff. Depends on what you're trying to run, but yeah, you can absolutely do that. Kicker won't mail to P.O. boxes, only FedEx. A lot of places are like that. A lot of places I deal with a lot of places. Most of the companies I deal with are in China. China. How's it? China. I'm trying to do my best Trump impersonation. Anyway, that was a very bad one. China. How does he talk? Come on, somebody. I can't talk like Trump. Nobody can talk. And I take it back. Some people can, actually. I can't. But yeah, I mean, most of the places they don't want to ship. They don't want to ship to a P.O. box. Friggin' aggravating. Shadowphage, I was looking at a charger that has safe charge. You can be that plugged up. It's just not important, man. Like I said, it's all about what voltage the damn thing puts out. As long as the voltage is safe for the batteries to rest at. Like, for example, 14.5, 14.8 is totally fine for AGM batteries because that's what the car charges them at. They can sit there and handle that hold up to that voltage as long as they want to, you know, and it'll be fine. The thing can sit there and receive that charge all day long. An alternator doesn't turn off its power when the battery is up to a certain point. It just keeps feeding the power until it gets up to the same level as the alternator, and then it stops until that level drops, and then it puts power in. It's like two glasses of water that are connected at the top. One's only going to feed into the other one when the water level drops. It's going to stop. I mean, it's still there, but it's not going to go anywhere. They're the same. It's like two batteries connected together. One battery will charge the other battery until they have the same voltage. And then they'll both just sit there and stop. There's nothing left to do. Same concept. It's not, companies and shit will overcomplicate everything. Okay, they will overcomplicate everything and try to sell you on a bunch of hot garbage. All you need is DC going to it that's a little higher than a battery, and it'll work. That's it. It doesn't require any stupid buzzwords, just DC power. Southeast, I have two 15s, XV3 Sundowns, okay, with a SoundCube 6K. That's a little bit of amp for a lot of sub. I have a MechMan 400, but should I be good with one excess power? 6K? Hell no. Or two? No. Try 6. That's what you need. Yeah, and that's actually on the low side. 6,000 watts on AGM, like 6 batteries. You think I'm shitting? You try 2, and your headlights will still dim. Try 4, your headlights are still going to dim. You're going to need 6 or more to actually keep up with that because of the throughput of an AGM battery. It's just bad. It doesn't have any throughput. You can't charge them very much. You can't put power in them very fast. It'll be great for about 30 seconds. And as soon as the batteries have depleted that top off, the alternator can't put power back into them fast enough to keep up. The voltage is just going to sag real bad. Headlights are going to dim. Just don't work, man. That's you do what you want to do, but you're not going to get where you want to go until you've bought like 6 of those and found somewhere to put them. That's just how it works. Sorry, I hate to say that, but if you want to run 6,000 watts, and I know I had 8,000 watts. 8,000 watts, I was running 10 AGM batteries out of big trucks. And that stabilized my voltage. 8 didn't work. 10 did. But I was running 10 freaking heavy-ass AGM batteries to get there. 10. I took all 10 of them out. I put one trunked under lithium 10K version 1 in there, and it did the same thing as 10 AGM batteries. And it's so light that I can literally pick it up with 2 fingers with one hand. It's just different chemistry, bro. Hopefully I answered your question. I'm new to this channel. Welcome to the channel, man. Ah, cool. I have a 3-inch sub and it's louder than my Tahoe. Awesome. Glad to hear it, bro. I'm glad to hear it. Okay. I use 2 small AGM batteries on a 100 amp power supply for car audio in the house. Sure. That's completely reasonable. For 1,000 watts, an 8-channel amp. Yeah, the thing is, you're not actually using 1,000 watts. I mean, you got it, but you're probably not running the thing full tilt boogie. And even if you are, it's pulses of 1,000 watts. So you're probably down around 500 watts average after you factor in the fact that music does this, which means, 50 amps, 50, 60, 70 amps. So, yeah. We're going to have fun tonight. Bobby ain't paying attention. Well. Watch this. Try it again. Try it again there, wet cheeks. All right. Have fun. Enjoy the show. Appreciate it. Okay. Appreciate it, brother. Yes, no AGM. God go lithium. Yeah. It's just how it works, bro. I can't help you. We do our best to give everybody the best out possible. But unfortunately, the C rating on AGM is like 0.5C, 0.3C. And that's the amount of, oh God, no, headway is horrible. Headway is horrible. Especially for a new guy. Headway is a good way to set your stuff on fire. So, you gotta watch the main chat window because people are in the house. Hey, no problem, Bobby. I handled it. Let's see here. So, bear with me. My brain's catching up with the world. I lost track of what I was saying. Oh, yeah, the C rating. So the C rating is the percentage of the amp hours that you can put into a battery at one time. And that's important because you can take a lot of power out of a battery at one time, but putting it back in is tough. And of course, the C rating also affects the output as well. Well, on AGMs, there's quite a large C rating on the output. You can output 1,000 amps or 1,200 amps for a few seconds. That's how you start a car. That's why they call it cranking amps. But you can't put the power back in very fast. It's very, very slow to go back in. So at 0.5 C, if you've got 100 amp hours of battery, you can put in 30 to 50 amps at one time. That'll run a 300 to 500 watt amplifier. Okay. And if you're pulling 6,000 watts, that's 600 amps. So you do the math. Okay. You need technically 12, but we're gonna say half that power because the music is dynamic, right? So pulling 6,000 watts, you're going to need 300 amps. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 AGMs to be able to take in that power. And then you also have to have an alternator capable of putting out 300 amps to keep up with that. So, yeah, you got to have the batteries that can take the power. Then you have to have the alternator that can put the power out. And then you can run your 6,000 watt system. The alternative is even using a stock alternator, having a good battery that can take in all the power the alternator can give it and put it out on a regular basis, can band-aid that back together again. 6,000 watts is totally doable on a single battery, the Trunk Turner Lithium 5K version 2 or version 3. I'm not sure if we're going to do a version 3 yet, but the 5K from Trunk Turner Lithium will handle that. 2 of the Big Jeff batteries at Big Jeff will handle that together. 2 of them will. One of the Titan 8s, the larger ones, will handle that. But it's more expensive. The better buys are going to be the Trunk Thunder Lithium version, or the 5K from Trunk Thunder Lithium, and the Big Jeff batteries are going to be your better buys for getting them that amount of power. And I think Big Jeff has a deal on 2 of them together. And of course, I have a discount code CAE at Big Jeff and CAE10 at Trunk Thunder Lithium. But let me go look real quick. Bear with me a second. I'm digging in the internetses. Digging in the internetses. There we go. They're out of stock right now, though. So if we pull this thingamajigger here, so here's the Big Jeff. This is the Big Jeff battery. This is 2 of them together for $679. That's a good deal if they're in stock. Right now, they're not in stock, but Big Jeff will be getting those in stock really quickly. The better deal, though, is at Trunk Thunder Lithium, and there's a little bit of a delay in things happening right now, but this is the guy that you want, and you see they're a lot cheaper. This is support the same amount of power as those 2 Big Jeff batteries, but you will be waiting a little bit to get these. So, you know, get her done, order it up, and get them on standby if you can. I'm not even sure if he allows orders on them right now because he's got them listed as out of stock. This is a ridiculously good battery, and don't mess with the head weight. Stay away from that. That's a good way to burn your vehicle down. It's cheap power, but it's also requires that you really pay attention to it and know what you're looking at and can keep a close eye on it. It's not for everybody. Okay. That's the important part. It's not for everybody. It can be a problem. Let's see here. Okay, yeah. Of course, it's not a constant 1,000 watts. Right. So, yeah, you should be good. No problem there, Bobby. I'd like to run a 5-channel and have active crossover for a pair of tweeters and a 6.5 and a 10-inch sub. So maybe a lithium, that charger I linked. I didn't see the link on the charger. but probably as long as the charger pulls up above the lithium's resting voltage and it doesn't try to rest the voltage higher than the lithium can take it, it'll be fine. Uh, if you're looking for a 5-channel, let me make a recommendation on a 5-channel. Not sure if they're still available. Let me find out real quick. I'm going to recommend a 5-channel for you. God damn. I forgot how expensive they are. Bro, okay. That's a horrible price. I'm going to show you the amp, and you'll have to find a place where you can buy it. I don't even know if they're still legit listed. Yeah, they are. You ain't going to like this. You guys are not going to like the price. And you know me, I'm very price oriented. But I'm going to drop this down here in the comment section because this is a wicked good 5-channel amplifier. So let's go over here and pull it up, show you guys what I'm talking about. $1,000, yes. But this HEX amplifier, the 5-channel, is wicked good amplifier. If you can, if you want to pick up something, this is the same guy that designed this was one of the guys on the team that built the JL Audio Slash amplifiers, the Slash 5 series Slash series amplifiers, the 5-channels and all those. And I run this amp in multiple builds. It is a freaking phenomenal amplifier. So if you could find one of these cheaper, jump on that. If not, it looks like they still sell them over here at Sonic Electronics. You might be able to get them a little cheaper. I think I paid somewhere close to that for mine back in the day. And I would still have that amp, but it was in my truck when it got repossessed, so I lost it. And yeah, that's a long story behind all that shit. But this is a wicked good amplifier. If you're looking for a really crazy good 5-channel amplifier, you're not going to beat this anywhere. So just throwing that out there. Yeah, it's expensive. I know. But that's for everybody. I'm just dropping what I know. And like I said, you guys know I'm all about finding budgets, and there's a lot of good stuff out there that's probably going to sound amazing. That's a 5-channel and a lot cheaper. But I'm telling you about what I know. I can tell you what I know, and what I know is that's a badass amplifier. Super clean. It controls the subwoofer extremely well. It's an absolutely phenomenal amplifier, but it's also not cheap. Let's see here. The JD 705. I'd have to dig into them. Oh, let's go back up. I missed a few people here. Yeah, I know that. I understand that. I'm not gonna send anybody towards Headway that's new, for obvious reasons. It's totally doable. I just don't send new people there because if you screw up with Headway, your shit catches on fire. It's just real quick. I know because I had a Headway bank combust into flames in the back of my Tahoe. I had to pull it out in the middle of the wintertime and cut it out of there and throw it in the snow, burning my hands and shit. I'm not talking out of my ass, okay? I'm not talking out of my ass. I'm not going by hearsay. I had a flaming bank of Headway in my freaking hands. If that doesn't qualify me to say I don't send people toward Headway that are new, I don't know what is. So understand that. I also have friends that are running big banks of Headway that have a problem. It's all about your skill level and your knowledge level and all that stuff and how you're using it specifically. It's a sketchy form of lithium. And that's what I've experienced. Not heard, but experienced. There's a big difference in that. What's up, Alexander? Alex Dance. Oh, yeah, I've not said Alexander. That's not exactly what his name is. Anyway, we appreciate you sharing the knowledge and, more importantly, your time. I appreciate you guys for sharing your time with me. You allow me to think about things a lot more, and I get to talk about one of my favorite subjects and hang out with people that are interested in hearing about it. That makes me very happy. It's a two-way street. Thank you for showing up. Emmett, your headway adventure damn near scared me away from lithium. Yeah, it scared me away from it. But it was specifically headway that was the problem. I'm looking to upgrade cause my headway is sagging now on my Warhorse. Yeah, you really need to get that shit out of your vehicle. I don't judge anybody, bro. It's cheaper and it's clean sounding. Yeah. Anymore, there's a whole lot of really inexpensive amplifiers out there. I mean, Recoil's got some stuff that's really good sounding, that's really inexpensive. I'm just talking about one that I happen to know is freaking amazing and bulletproof and does all the stuff, has all the settings. I mean, if I was going to build a full on, really sound quality oriented home setup with it, that would be my amp of choice. Provided, I mean, there could be other stuff that's just as good, but I know that one will. I know what it does. Stewie. My experience, and I understand it too. Yeah, it is what it is, man. Like I said, I got friends that are running banks of headway, and it's fine. But I will say this about that: those guys that are running those banks of headway, they don't daily drive that shit. So, give me just a second. I gotta rearm myself. Oh, never mind. I had some up here. Shit. I was out of cigarettes. I started with a partial pack of smokes, man, and ran out. But yeah, the guys that I know that are running it and having success with it, they're not daily driving it. That stuff just they drive it to competitions in the middle of the summer and throw down hardcore, bang like a boss. Then they park that shit for a month until the next competition, and it don't go anywhere during the winter. It just sits out there on a trickle charger. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you can get away with. But daily driving it, you can keep it. And I don't want that shit. I'd rather run C-Max. And I'm not crazy about it either. What's up, Stu? Bobby says, did I get anything car audio related for Christmas? I didn't get much hardly anything for Christmas. My coolest Christmas present was my shoes. Y'all can't see these. I can't put my foot up high enough. Hang on a minute. I'll take one of them off. Here we go. Hold on. My sister gave me these Eddie Bauer slippers. Very cool. And she gave me this, my jacket. So it's really nice. It's Carhartt. It's a Carhartt like flannel colored thing with a hood on it. So it's got a hood. I love it. I love clothes for Christmas now. When I was a kid, I wanted toys, but here's the thing, man. When it comes to car audio stuff, I never thought I would say this, in my whole life, but I don't need anything car audio related. I have so much. The only thing I really need right now is a head unit. That's only because I've given all of them away. I give them away all the time. I have extra head units from different people sending me shit. I test it and then I give it away. Sometimes I get doubles and triples of the same thing, and I'll test one and I'll just give the other ones away. Um, that's the only thing I need is a head unit right now. Everything else is I've got it. I've got enough stuff in here to build a couple more builds straight out of my freaking little stash, and still have extra stuff left over. And power wire. I can always use alt gauge wire. Alt gauge wire, and I give it away too a lot actually. Because I mean helping somebody, you know, when they don't have enough, and I'll just go digging in my stash and pulling stuff out. Man, you know, stuff is not as important to me as people are. So I put people before stuff. I don't know. It's not a sustainable system, but I'm not sustainable, so I do what I do. I do. I do. Uh, let's see here. Wouldn't tell anyone to build their own batteries anyway. Yep. For real, man. Always stick with what you know. For sure. A daily mine. Yeah. Pay attention in the winter, man. That's you've been driving it for a while, so I get it. You got it. You're under control. But just watch it. You don't let it drain down low and then turn your vehicle on in the middle of a real cold day. You only do that shit one time. Yes, I did. I have videos on it. The heater. Yeah. Yeah, heater's a good thing, man. Uh, that's a good question. Serenity asked, am I changing over to a head unit from a tablet? The tablet has been a good run. That tablet's like 4 years old, 5 years old. It's been through several years of violent bass, and I think it's broken. I mean, it still works, but it doesn't. It sketches out. Doesn't. I think it's just the bass has killed it. You know, the vibrations. Now I could go get another tablet, sure, and run that, sure. But the thing about it is whenever guys send to me head units to test, it'd be nice if I have a platform where I can install them and test them in the actual vehicle. So that's kind of what I'm aiming towards. Now I'm not sure that that's going to happen. It may be a pipe dream. I don't know, but that's kind of the idea. Also, I think a head unit might be a little tougher and take the abuse a little bit better. And implementing certain things might work a little better. I'm going to run one for a little while and see how I like it. That's what I'm just going to kind of try. I can always put a tablet in there. I can come right out of there, put some little blocks in there in that thing and raise a platform up and put a tablet right there. I can always go back to a tablet. I can use my phone. I don't even have to use a head unit. I can just run everything off my phone, but I can't record video while I'm playing music from my phone. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to play around with it, you know, and see what happens. It's all about experimentation, building, and trying new shit. You know, for me, head unit's not really new, but with a crazy heavy bass build and a head unit together, that's kind of a new thing. So I wanted to show that you can build your own stuff and you can make stuff work. You know, that's kind of how I do things. I mean, anybody can spend a whole bunch of money and go buy the thing, buy it done, buy the process, just throw money at it. But this isn't the throw money at it channel. This is a get what I want without paying crazy money for it channel. And so I'm kind of leaning into that with this. But I may be running multiple different head units and trying them out. It may be more like a long-term testing. So I may run the ILX 207 for a while. I may run one of these Chinese head units for a while and see how it handles the bass, how it handles all the functionality, whether the screen is still visible, whether the screen breaks after the first freaking demo, all this kind of stuff, whether the knobs and everything keep working after you expose it to, 157 dB, 24 hertz for extended period of time. These are important things to know. And so I'll be able to answer these questions and tell you, hey, this is a killer head unit. And you get it and it's going to do the stuff because I've already took a hammer to it and beat the brakes off of it. That's how I treat my equipment. I murder it to death. If it continues to work after I get done with it, I can recommend it to anybody because nobody's going to do more torture than I am. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I roll. But yeah, good question. Got earplugs. Wires the most expensive in the chain, really. Yeah, but it's also the one thing that you can, if you're careful and you plan right, you can reuse it over and over again because it doesn't really get old. Like a head unit gets wore out and broken. Wire just keeps being wire. Amps burn up and blow up. Wire keeps being wire. Subs, eventually you cook the voice coils or whatever. The wire still the wire. As long as you're planning carefully, you can continuously reuse it. And that's kind of what I do. You just might need to use more distribution blocks. But yeah, wire's expensive. I'm contemplating doing a mini PC as a head unit in my Tahoe. That's totally doable. And if you do, Stu, what I've run as a PC, I'll show you some examples. You can do a lot of different things, but if you want to keep it simple, let me find. Hang on just a second. Yeah, okay. So if you're wanting to do that, look at these guys, these little dudes right here. There's a whole bunch of flavors, but they all work really well for for that kind of environment. You have different levels of compute power available, but you can get pretty cheap, and they just run off of you can run them off a power supply. Most of them run off of 12 volts, and the power supply converts over. If you find the right one in this kind of a category, and you can do a lot with that. That's what I'm doing. That's what my computer right now is running off of a little Ryzen 7 platform of one of those guys. It was like $300, and I game on it. I run this stream on it. I run all my audio stuff on it. I do all the video editing, all that stuff on it. It works great. It's running 3 monitors. I've got my main monitor, which is the one that is directly in front of me, the one that I'm looking at right now. I got this monitor, which is my secondary, and then I have a tertiary monitor. So let me show you that. Hold on. I'll show you. So you can't see the secondary or primary, but if I tilt my screen up, y'all can see that TV up there. So that is a TV that's mounted on the wall. And can you see that? I'm jacking up the thing back there. Anyway, it's mounted on a swing on the wall, and it hooks up and mirrors my secondary monitor. So I can put that up across the other side of the room. So if somebody's in here and I'm showing them something, they don't have to come around behind here and get back here with me. They can be over across the room and they can see it on the TV up there. Also where I watch movies at. Because I have a recliner that sits over there on the other side of the room. So that's how I do things. But yeah, that's an easy way to do that. The only thing I'd be worried about is the screen. You need to spend the money on the screen. You got to get the right screen because that thing is going to take a lot of abuse. So it's got to be done right. And you also need to consider putting in padding around the mounting. So if you have it mounted in an area where it's got a front and rear restrictor, and then it's got padding that it's actually sitting against on all the sides so that it can move without getting any torsion in the screen, because you'll break the screen, you'll shatter it. And you're going to want to use a glass screen, not a plastic screen. It needs to be glass, the Gorilla Glass. That's all doable. I'm just pointing out that the screen is the thing that's going to fail. So pay attention to what you do with that. Bass kills everything. Yeah. Yeah, I'm afraid I'm building this setup for the stereo to go into to try to keep it from dying. I'm giving it the best possible way to exist that I can. Essentially, I'm building it so that the vibrations in my dash don't get translated into the head unit as much. That's the objective with building this thing the way I'm doing it. I'm thinking through this really heavily, and basically I'm just building an isolator in between the head unit and the dash so they vibrate separately. The worst person to ask about Android head units. Bro, it's not about Android specifically. It's about the quality of the equipment you're messing with. Android makes a great operating system for a head unit. It's more about, the problem is the most of the units that you get that are Android based, the head unit themselves are just poorly constructed, or they use cheap components. They use weak processors. They use tiny amount of RAM. They use flimsy plastic screens, all that kind of stuff. And you fight with all that. So again, knowing what you're buying specifically is more important than giving it a broad group. Just because it has an Android operating system doesn't make it bad. You can get really good quality stuff that's running off Android. There's a lot of really nice gear out there that runs Android. So don't let that sway you, and don't categorize them all based on that one characteristic, because it's unfair to a lot of really good equipment. Android has lots of advantages. It's a lot easier to install and run different apps. You can run tons and tons and tons of different types of software. So it makes a lot of things possible that wouldn't be possible with something like Linux-based system, which is what most of them run. Serenity says, I was using a tablet, got tired of the mount and charging it. A Toto V10 with optical. Yeah, that's solid. As far as the tablet thing you go, I use double-sided tape and stick it to the dash. That's what I've been using. And I use specifically the Scotch double-sided tape that looks like it's got little green hash marks in it. Green and yellow little lines crisscrossing, kind of like a flannel pattern. I use that stuff because it's thick and it adds some isolation. And it can also be cut with a knife, so you can slide a knife behind it and cut it and pull them apart. So then you can just peel off the residue from both and it's back to normal. As far as charging it, you can run an OTG cable. That's what I used. It's an on-the-go. Basically, you plug the Type-C, you plug it into the tablet, and it's got two dongles, one of them for a pen drive and then one of them for a charger. And you have to run the 90-degree angled charging cables. You want the plug to be a 90 degrees so it don't sit there and vibrate, or else it'll break the USB connection. So you run one that goes out and goes immediately into a 90. And you can run that to the charging port in your vehicle, and then that's keyed, right? Then you go into your tablet and you can change it to where it wakes up whenever it receives power. You have to go into the menu and find that. And there's a setting in there saying, wake up whenever you sense power on the charging wire. And then your tablet set it up to where it goes to sleep whenever it's not plugged in anymore. and it will literally turn off when you turn the key off and turn it back on when the key comes back on. Then you can actually get software that emulates the car audio environment and gives you where you can do all the buttons and everything on the screen, however far you want to go. It's that all that stuff's available. But and now the only catch is it will only charge while your vehicle's running. If it goes to sleep and you have it in low power, have everything set to the maximum low power mode, and then when it goes to sleep, it's not going to be charging. It's not going to be plugged in. As long as the battery can last and you drive it enough, that discharging rate will hold steady. Every great once in a while, if you've gone a long period without driving it very much, you may have to plug it in to a different charger and let it build up a full charge and then go back to your normal cycling. But it all depends on how often you drive and how long you drive for, whether or not that'll work. But you have to just try it, But yeah, got earplugs. So leave some slack or more distro is a must, and or spend another $400 for another roll. Yeah, your distribution blocks or your friend fuse blocks and distribution blocks. I don't usually leave slack. I like my runs to be super neat. But I also I think about when I'm building, I think about what can I change without changing the wiring? How much can I do in here without having to move any of the stuff that these wires are running to? That's what my brain is at. So I get power run from front to back, and then I get a location that can stay. And then I only have to make short runs to move things around. My main wires will not be changing. I think about that kind of stuff. You got to plan way ahead and think deep into the base head territory, figure out what you could change. And if you changed it, would you have to change this? Find the best thing that gives you the most flexibility with the most of the wire, and then use short runs to move things around. That's how I do it. An ILX 507 has an HDMI input. I have two HDMIs. That may be an option for PC input. I don't know if that would work or not, Stu. I can't speak on that. That sounds interesting though. But yeah, if it'll work, if it'll accept that, it may be a resolution issue too. You'll have to, if you try to give it the wrong resolution, it may not work, and the radio may not accept but a certain resolution. So that'll be a thing you'll have to figure out. And sometimes when you scale the resolution up, like a really low resolution on a computer, you can't read any damn thing. These are all little things. Find out what the maximum resolution of that radio is, and whether or not, I thought the radio was just a source. I think of it as a source. So I'm thinking that HDMI output is strictly to send to a screen, like in a vehicle that has a screen in the back. I've never considered trying to use it as an input though. So I don't know if that would work or not, but it's worth looking into. Yeah, that would be. Now the HDMI throughput is capable of handling that, but only if the radio is going to play ball. You could of course, if it was an Android radio, you could absolutely upgrade the software and I'm just going to shut up. Absolutely, man. That's everything about it. Let's see here. I've had good luck with Joying and the Toto. Yeah. I can't speak on the other two. But I've reviewed a lot of stuff from a Toto and been very impressed with it. It tends to be pretty decent. But again, it isn't the company, it's the product. You can look like I said, if you're looking for an Android style radio, I'll tell you the things to watch for. A good processor, lots of RAM. Um, those are important because that's going to make the thing function fast and reliably. But the most important is a glass screen. There's so many of them have a plastic screen, and that plastic screen will fail. It's just a matter of how long it takes. And I don't mean in a big base vehicle. I mean in a regular car environment. The plastic screen will just fail. So it needs to have a glass screen. Find that. Number one, look for glass screen. Um, it'll be some type of Gorilla Glass like a phone has. That's what you want. If it doesn't have that, no matter what, don't get it. Um, the plastic screens will fail. I've got two of them up in the closet. Great radios, bad screens. Both of them have plastic screens. I learned to stay away from plastic screens. The best, let's see here, have an all-car MG Tesla. That sounds interesting. Use the LOC, but not the RCA cables. Okay. Does HDMI inputs, but they cost extra. Well, the ILX 207, I can speak up because I just had it in my hands a couple hours ago, has two HDMI connections. I don't know whether they're inputs, both inputs or outputs. I've never used either of them for anything. I would say most likely it's got odds are one of them is an input and one's an output. I don't know about the 507 though. Mirror your phone screen and play streaming video. Should. That seems reasonable. That thought process is reasonable. HDMI input on the 507 works well with iPhone through AV adapter cable. Will mirror your phone screen and play streaming video. Okay. Yeah. That sounds reasonable. I think you're probably in the ballpark of finding something that'll actually work. That would definitely be my try, but I would do it on a bench first. I don't know you will. Getting the touchscreen thing though, you might consider running Windows 8. Wasn't 8 the one that had the touchscreen capability built into it? As if you run Windows 8 and you can easily switch it to touchscreen, and then you could maybe receive the haptic touch interface or whatever it is from the head unit, whatever that is. It's either a haptic or something else. There's like 3 different types. I can't remember which one they are, but anyway, maybe it would send that signal back to the computer. If it'll send a signal, like if you can operate your phone from the radio, then yes, for sure. If not, then you're probably going to be struggling with that. But you could always use a mouse mini keyboard setup. I've done that in my big truck. So, VR30 Boost Life. Have you seen any 78 to 83 Malibu wagons in any of the shows I've been to? Shit, dude. I haven't seen any Malibu wagons at all, or any Malibus for that matter. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to think. But most of the shows I'm at, we don't see a lot of classic car type stuff, a lot of hot rod stuff. There's usually a couple of guys. For the most part, they're all like 90s and newer cars with crazy stereo systems in them, and the car itself is going to be, it could be jank as hell, or it could be fairly modded out, but we don't really have a lot of cool classic car kind of setup. setups there. They happen, but not very often. I dig the idea though. Uh, I don't figure I'll get the touch panel control to the PC. Yeah, you can absolutely pull the touch panel out of a laptop. In fact, it's got like a 2 or 3 wire plug, um, and it's operating on a USB type of a bus. So all you have to do is wire the cable up to a USB plug and plug it straight in. It's very easy to convert something like that from a mouse or a keyboard or a touchpad. They all have a USB. They have a universal serial bus connection. It won't look like that inside the laptop, but that's what it is. So all you have to do is connect it to a freaking USB cable and plug it in, and it'll recognize it and function. So yeah, you can get a laptop touchpad and mount it into the armrest, and then run it through the USB cable into the unit. It'll work just fine. No, he says. I don't know what no is. They sell a Bluetooth steering wheel. Oh, that's interesting. That's a possibility, yeah. Oh, I got you. I got you. For the Malibu. Um, I'm trying to remember what a Malibu wagon looks like. I know they had them, but I just don't ever see them at all. I mean, they were also what do you call it? Not the Rancho, the El Camino. The El Camino was made on a Malibu chassis too, right? That era. I've seen plenty of those, and I'm sure that's a similar thing to the wagon. But I can't remember seeing a Malibu wagon. I don't even remember ever seeing a Malibu wagon, but it sounds great. I love wagons. Uh, yeah, Stu likes your idea, Shadow. Yeah, an El Camino. Yeah. Oh, I'm digging it. I have no. I mean, I like a good wagon. Wagons are out of date and everything. Everybody back in the day when wagons were big, the young full crowd, the only reason you drove a wagon is because that's what mom or dad had, and you was driving their shit. But I always loved a wagon, man. Buddy of mine had a 1978 Caprice Classic wagon, and we put a 454 in it and put a new transmission in it after the 454. Um, that car was ripping cool, man. Unfortunately, he passed away, um, and he actually went and laid down in his bed and just died, man. And he was like in his late 20s. It was really sad, and but yeah, we drove that thing all over the place, man. Run the crap out of it. The car's name was Cheryl, and his dad still has it. Drives it every once in a while. Car run like an absolute champ, dude. You could take that car and drive it around the world. If it run on water, it'll keep going. It ran great. Got decent fuel economy for something that was that big with that big old big block in it. It run great, man. It was pretty much a stock big block. It was just a ballsy big block. We put headers on it and had Brodix heads on it. I said it's stock. It's not totally stock. It was internals were stock. Had Brodix heads on it and had a slightly machined intake manifold, carburetor, um, and headers and glass packs. But it wasn't. The internals were all stock, and the thing ran great. Uh, Malibu wagon looks like a Camino. Yeah. Oh, I'm digging. Hey, kept a mattress in the back of it. So that car is big enough that it had a full a full. It was like a, I don't know, a twin bed, like a one person bed. That mattress was in the back. You could lay in. You could get in there and close the hatch and lay down and completely sleep in comfort back there. This is back during the carnival days, so we did that every once in a while. Uh, yeah, that'd be cool, man. Is a base build. I I still want to. Yeah, long live Cheryl, man. I still want to run a hearse, man. I think a hearse is the. And I got a buddy now in our team that's got a hearse, but it's one of the hearses based on a bourbon. He's going to do a build in it, but he wants to do a mild build. I've talked him into doing the coffin sub. So it's going to be sick, but it's not going to be crazy loud. It's just going to be sick. I still want to get a big old stretch, like a caddy, like a big old caddy hearse, and do a build. And I know they've been done before. They're always cool. I love a hearse, man. Hearses are cool. I like doing shit that's kind of twisted, just a little bit. VR says, I'm trying to find something different that nobody really has for a slaps build. Maybe start around the summer of 26. Well, a Malibu wagon would definitely, absolutely be one that I've never seen before. Most of the big builds are going to be SUVs and vans. Yeah, I don't see, there's hatchbacks. You don't even see hardly any wagons at all. And a wagon would absolutely be solid. Those old mid to late 70s cars where the metal was nice and thick. The body would be really good for doing a crazy build in. I would hate to destroy the interior of a really nice classic, but if it's pretty beat up anyway, bring it. Long live Cheryl. You got that right, my friend. Let's see. Running a PC is a source would open up the option of doing crazy stuff like using Audacity to process music on the fly. Reverb. Yeah, you could do that. It would definitely open up a lot of storage too. You could store an ungodly amount of music files. And you could always play PC games in the car. That'd be cool. I mean, playing Fallout 4 on your freaking head unit. How cool is that? Plus movies, easy. Just pop in a freaking Men in Black or whatever and let it jump. Yeah, it'd be a solid thing. So Shadowface says, there's a link for one unless links don't show on the channel. I don't think they do. But you could always link it to me, to my email, car audio enthusiast with an S at the end at gmail.com. You can shoot me that link. I will absolutely get that link. There's an increased, let's see here. Stu says VR, there's an increase in late 60s. Caddy in my area. Bagged one last week, then saw another one just like it, but a different color the next day. VR. Oh, you're talking about, okay. I caught up. Fallout for the win, Stu said. Also surround processing. Yes, that is very true. Yeah, Facebook message works too, Shadow. You got my freaking Facebook. What the hell's wrong with you? Let me close Brandon and Alan up over here. I'll keep an eye out for your there we go. Bluetooth device. Let's whip it. Let's whip it. Let's whip it up. Let's whip it up. Got that from Shadow Page. So there's the controller. Okay, so it's a universal. Yeah, I think I've seen some of this before. Something similar. You guys, back in the 1920s, the Model T had a aftermarket car stereo that you could install in it. You couldn't buy a car with a stereo in it. I say stereo, it was a radio, but you could buy an aftermarket device. This is what this puts me in the mind of. You see, there's one up here too. The little steering wheel ring up there. Some different ones available here. Pretty cool. Pretty cool looking setup. So yeah, that could totally work. And then that just Bluetooth to whatever. I dig it. Pretty simple. There's a motorcycle. Yeah, yeah. I got a feeling that thing would spin around a lot. I'd probably want to mold it in or something. But if you go, I'm gonna go over here. Check this out. Let me see if I can find one for you. I'll show you guys. It's pretty cool. Um, 1920s. Let me find the image for it. I'll show you guys what it looked like. I've looked all this up in the past, but there's a few bits and pieces here. The one I'm looking for, that's one version of it. That ain't the one I'm looking for. There's a couple different ones. And it mounts. I did a ton of research for this video that I did a long time back. And we're talking about the car audio in the 1920s and up, you know. And I found this thing, and it always fascinated me with what they come up with back then. That is a battery. Or, I don't know. So you guys can't see what I'm looking at. So that's kind of not fair, I know. Not sure what the hell that is. I'm still looking for this image. Let me see if there's anything I'm missing over here. Fall out for the wind. Boost Life said, I own a 79 El Camino SS, my birth year. Oh yeah, I've been looking at this wagon for the special. Do a 412 build or 218s. It all depends on your shape, man. Your baffle shape and your baffle size, how you want to orient things. I mean, yeah, you're going to get a little more cone area with the 415s, but it all depends on the drivers and the shape of everything. The baffle is really the key factor in figuring out what drivers you want. It's all about the baffle. I'm still looking for this stupid thing. I don't see it anywhere. But anyway, the radio mounts. You got the steering wheel and the steering shaft. And right down by where the steering shaft goes into the floor, it's got a little deal that mounts on the steering shaft, and that gives you your controls for the radio. And then the actual radio is located in the floorboard, quite large. And then you had an antenna that went up in the air off of one side. And then you had bullhorn style speakers. And these guys were building stunt walls in the 1920s, ride through town with this music blaring out of these speakers they had mounted on their running boards. And the stereo system for the thing actually cost more than the car did. They were really pricey. But guys back in the 1920s were building crazy loud vehicles with stunt walls and blasting music in town for everybody. So this shit ain't new. This has been going on a long time. Let's whip it up. Found a nice one for 5,000. Oh, okay. So everyone give a thumbs up. Hey, I appreciate you, man. All right, Shadow, you got to go fix something to eat before bed. Yeah, I'm gonna get some too. Slap subs, baby. Yeah, we should call it a night. I do need to eat something. I ate that buffet earlier today, but that was like 6 hours ago, and my body is telling me I need to put more food in it. So sometimes that happens. It happens to the best of us. Anyway, guys, we are going to call it a night. So you guys remember to speak to your neighbor, meet some new people on the street, and be kind to those people that you meet. Kind to the people that are assholes. Be kind to everybody, because that's how we get that back. You know, it starts with you. You can't control other people, but you can control yourself. So be nice to people and, push that agenda. That's the key. Everybody needs that. For now, guys, let's get the duck out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. Out here banging up and down the street, slamming it to the ground. Big subwoofers are getting loud. You can feel the booming sound. Getting ready to go. Got it shined up for the show. Hours charging, amps are amping, gonna let the woofers blow. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one goes, and another one goes, and another one bites the dust. We got more at home. Another one bites the dust. Fires are glowing and the amps smoking. Subs are cherry red. Let me keep jamming, gotta keep the bass slamming. Gonna go hard till they're dead. Full power, gotta let it go. 20 hertz in the floating air. Sparks are flying, voice cords are frying, and the smoke is in the air. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one goes, and another one goes, and another one bites the dust. Hey, we got more at home. Another one bites the dust.